How to speak with people. Elara often dreamt of speaking English fluently, a vivid aspiration she cherished deeply. Yet, a crushing wave of anxiety frequently engulfed her every time she considered opening her mouth. The sheer thought of uttering a single sentence filled her with dread, paralyzing her ability to communicate effectively. She desperately wanted to connect, but fear always held her back from genuine interaction. Why do I always make mistakes? This self-deprecating question echoed constantly within Elara's mind, a tormenting refrain. She'd painstakingly formulate sentences mentally, only to stumble over the simplest words when actually speaking. This relentless cycle of preparation, followed by perceived failure, eroded her confidence with each passing day. The frustration was immense, almost unbearable at times. Her desire to learn English was profound, but the path forward seemed shrouded in impenetrable fog. Countless resources existed, from textbooks to apps, yet none offered the clear, step-by-step guidance she desperately needed. She felt lost in a sea of methods, unable to grasp a solid plan for true progress. This overwhelming feeling contributed to her persistent hesitation. The idea of talking to people in pairs, suggested by some online forums, seemed utterly terrifying. How could she possibly engage in a two-way conversation without making a complete fool of herself? The thought of prolonged, focused interaction with another person amplified her existing anxieties exponentially. She imagined awkward silences and embarrassing mispronunciations. She yearned for a simple beginning, a way to start step-by-step talking without the immense pressure. A gradual approach, building confidence incrementally, felt like the only feasible solution. However, identifying that very first, tiny step proved to be an insurmountable challenge. The mountain of learning English appeared too vast to conquer alone. Elara often envisioned an ideal English study plan for talking, one that seamlessly blended grammar, vocabulary, and practical conversation. But translating this vision into a concrete, achievable schedule was daunting. Every attempt at creating a routine fizzled out, undermined by her crippling fear of imperfection and immediate verbal blunders. I don't want to make mistakes, but I always do. Why? This became her silent lament, a testament to her internal conflict. She understood intellectually that mistakes were part of learning, yet emotionally, each error felt like a personal failing. This deep-seated aversion to imperfection was truly the greatest barrier to her progress. She had read about learning English through stories, a method lauded for its immersive quality. While she enjoyed reading, the leap from passive comprehension to active speech seemed immense. How could engaging with narratives magically unlock her tongue and allow fluent expression? The connection felt tenuous, a bit too theoretical for her practical needs. The ultimate goal, how to talk to anyone in English, felt like an impossible summit to reach. The sheer variety of accents, topics, and conversational styles seemed overwhelming. She doubted her ability to adapt quickly, to respond spontaneously without prior rehearsal. This aspiration remained a distant, intimidating dream, far from her current reality. She constantly sought the perfect way of learning English, jumping from one methodology to another. Online courses, flashcards, grammar drills, she tried them all with sporadic enthusiasm. But without addressing the underlying fear of speaking, no technique seemed to stick. Her journey felt like an endless search, devoid of true breakthroughs. One rainy afternoon, while browsing a dusty second-hand bookstore, Elara discovered an old, unassuming book. Its cover was faded, but the title, The Art of Imperfect Communication, caught her eye instantly. She bought it on a whim, feeling a peculiar pull towards its humble appearance. This was an unexpected turn in her long quest. The book wasn't about grammar or vocabulary drills. Instead, it delved into the psychology of language learning. It spoke profoundly about embracing the learning journey, not as a race to perfection, but as a marathon of continuous, iterative improvement. This fresh perspective immediately resonated with her anxious spirit, offering a calming insight. The author emphasized that mistakes were not failures, but essential data points, guiding learners toward fluency. This revelation was a monumental shift in Elara's mindset. It challenged her ingrained belief that perfection was the only acceptable outcome. Perhaps her greatest obstacle was her own unwavering internal critic. The book strongly advocated for starting step-by-step talking, emphasizing small, manageable conversations. It suggested focusing on expressing simple ideas rather than complex grammar. This concept felt less daunting, more attainable than her previous overwhelming goals. A tiny flicker of hope ignited within her, surprisingly strong. Crucially, it also highlighted the immense benefits of finding a language partner or engaging in structured, talking to people in pairs. The book explained that a supportive, non-judgmental environment was paramount for building speaking confidence. Elara considered reaching out, a nervous but determined feeling stirring inside her. Inspired, Elara decided to search for local English conversation groups. She found a flyer for a community English cafe at the local library, meeting every Saturday morning. Her heart pounded with a mix of trepidation and newfound excitement. This felt like a tangible first step, a real-world application of the book's wisdom. The night before the cafe meeting, Elara felt a familiar knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. Would she freeze up? Would her mind go blank? Despite these fears, a stronger resolve propelled her forward. This time, she wasn't seeking perfection. She was seeking progress. The desire for change outweighed her inherent apprehension. Saturday arrived, bright and surprisingly calm. As she entered the bustling library, the murmur of English conversations filled the air. People were genuinely engaged, laughing and conversing freely. Elara took a deep breath, clutching the inspiring book in her hand like a lifeline. This moment felt profoundly significant. She approached a table marked "Beginner Speakers," where a kind-faced gentleman, Liam, greeted her warmly. He was the group facilitator, exuding an aura of calm and patience. His reassuring smile immediately put Elara slightly at ease. This unexpected warmth dissolved some of her immediate apprehension. Liam started by explaining the group's philosophy. We are all here to learn and support each other. Mistakes are celebrated, not feared. This opening statement resonated deeply with Elara, echoing the very essence of the book she had just read. It was a profound validation of her budding understanding. Liam immediately introduced the concept of talking to people in pairs, explaining its effectiveness. He paired Elara with Maria, another shy but eager learner. They started with simple introductions, sharing basic details about their hobbies and favorite foods. The pressure felt surprisingly low, a welcome relief. Maria's own struggles made Elara feel less isolated. They fumbled over words together, sometimes dissolving into laughter. Liam circulated, offering gentle corrections and encouraging nods. He never interrupted mid-sentence, waiting for natural pauses. This supportive environment fostered a feeling of genuine camaraderie and safety. Liam emphasized breaking down conversations into manageable chunks. Start with simple exchanges, he advised, like asking about someone's day or describing your weekend. This step-by-step talking approach demystified the daunting task of full conversations, making them feel achievable and less overwhelming for everyone. Elara practiced basic question structures, focusing on clarity rather than complex grammar. What did you do today? How was your week? These simple phrases became her building blocks. Each successful exchange, no matter how brief, added a tiny brick to her confidence foundation, slowly but surely. Mistakes inevitably happened, of course, but Liam's reaction was always constructive. Great attempt, Elara, he'd say. Just a small change here. He turned every error into a valuable lesson, reinforcing the idea that they were signposts on the path to improvement, not roadblocks to be avoided entirely. This fundamental shift in how mistakes were perceived was truly transformative for Elara. She stopped seeing them as embarrassing failures and started viewing them as essential feedback. The fear of, I don't want to make mistakes, but I always do, slowly began to dissipate. It was a liberation. She learned to laugh at her own mispronunciations, finding humor in the learning process. This lightness of spirit allowed her to relax, which ironically made her speaking more natural and fluid. The internal tension that had plagued her for so long gradually began to unwind completely. The conversation cafe became her sanctuary, a place where vulnerability was embraced and effort celebrated. She looked forward to Saturdays, eager to practice and connect with others. The initial terror of how to speak with people transformed into genuine anticipation. It was a profound change in her outlook. She began to understand that the goal wasn't to speak perfectly, but to communicate effectively and meaningfully. This realization freed her from the relentless pursuit of an unattainable ideal. Her focus shifted from flawless grammar to expressing her thoughts and feelings authentically to her peers. Every small interaction, every brief exchange, contributed to her growing confidence. The simple act of holding a conversation, even a short one, felt like a monumental achievement. Elara was no longer afraid of talking to people in pairs. In fact, she started to enjoy it immensely. Liam introduced another powerful technique, learning English through stories. He explained how narratives provided context, natural language patterns, and emotional connection, making vocabulary and grammar acquisition effortless. He shared links to simple short stories, accompanied by audio versions for immersion. Elara began listening to these stories during her commute, following along with the text. She found herself engrossed in the plots, forgetting she was even studying. Words and phrases naturally embedded themselves in her memory, without the rote memorization she previously struggled with. The characters and their journeys made the language come alive. It wasn't just abstract rules anymore. It was vibrant, dynamic, and relatable. This method significantly boosted her comprehension and listening skills, forming a strong foundation for active speaking practice and future conversations. Inspired by her progress, Liam helped her create a personalized English study plan for talking. It wasn't rigid, but flexible, incorporating short daily speaking practice, story listening, and a few minutes of journaling in English. Consistency, not intensity, was the key message. The plan included dedicating 15 minutes each day to talking aloud, perhaps describing her surroundings or recounting her day. This self-talk, combined with pair work at the cafe, steadily built her fluency and comfort with spontaneous expression. It was a gentle, yet highly effective routine. She also incorporated shadowing, where she would listen to native speakers and immediately repeat what they said, mimicking their pronunciation and intonation. This practice refined her accent and rhythm, making her speech sound more natural and confident over time. The study plan became her guiding compass, providing direction without stifling spontaneity. It removed the guesswork from how to learn English, giving her a clear, actionable roadmap. Elara felt a profound sense of purpose and control over her learning journey now. Her vocabulary expanded organically through stories and conversations, rather than forced memorization. She learned words in context, making them more memorable and easier to recall during actual speech. This holistic approach felt much more sustainable and enjoyable for her. Grammar, once a source of immense anxiety, began to make more sense as she encountered it repeatedly in natural language. She still consulted resources, but her understanding deepened through immersion and practical application. Theory and practice finally started to align for her. The fear of why I always make mistakes gradually transformed into a curiosity about language patterns. Each error became a puzzle piece, helping her to better understand the vast, intricate tapestry of English communication. She welcomed corrections as valuable insights. As weeks turned into months, Elara's confidence blossomed visibly. Her hesitant responses gave way to fluid conversations, her eyes now gleaming with newfound assurance. The internal battle against self-doubt was slowly but surely being won. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She found herself initiating conversations outside the cafe, at local shops, or with tourists. The thought of how to talk to anyone in English no longer felt like an impossible feat, but a natural extension of her growing abilities. The world opened up to her. The internal critic, once a loud, persistent voice, had dwindled to a whisper, then disappeared entirely. Elara no longer focused on her imperfections, but on the joy of connecting with others, sharing ideas, and understanding new perspectives from different individuals. Her fluency wasn't perfect, but it was functional, authentic, and expressive. She learned that communication was about connection, not flawless articulation. This realization brought immense freedom and allowed her true personality to shine through her English interactions. The way of learning English became her personal testament to resilience and strategic effort. She understood that every individual's journey was unique, and finding what truly resonated with her was paramount. Her journey was deeply personal and incredibly empowering. Elara began sharing her journey with new members at the cafe, offering encouragement and practical tips. She spoke of her initial struggles, her fear of mistakes, and how she gradually overcame them. Her story became a beacon of hope for others just starting out. "Don't be afraid to make mistakes," she would advise them gently. "They are not signs of failure, but proof that you are trying. Each mistake is a stepping stone on your path to fluency." Her words carried the weight of personal experience. She advocated for talking to people in pairs as the ultimate confidence booster, emphasizing the safe space it created for experimentation. She also highlighted the power of engaging narratives, truly believing in learning English through stories as an effective method. Elara often reminded people that language learning was a marathon, not a sprint. Consistency, patience, and a positive mindset were far more crucial than cramming or perfectionism. Her own English study plan for talking had been designed for sustainable, long-term growth. She became a living example of how starting step-by-step talking could lead to remarkable breakthroughs. From a shy individual terrified of speaking, she had transformed into a confident communicator, comfortable expressing herself in various contexts and conversations. One day, Liam asked Elara to co-facilitate a session, a testament to her incredible progress. She confidently led a discussion, guiding new learners through their initial anxieties. The once terrified student was now a mentor, inspiring others to embark on their own linguistic adventures. Her journey taught her that the real challenge wasn't the language itself, but the fear within. Once that barrier was broken, the learning process became an exciting exploration. She embraced imperfections, knowing they were integral to her authentic voice. How to speak with people? She would now answer, start small, embrace mistakes, and keep talking. Her simple advice resonated profoundly because it came from a place of deep personal understanding and hard-won wisdom gained through persistent effort. The question, "Why I always make mistakes?" had transformed into, "How can I learn from this mistake?" This mental shift empowered her, turning setbacks into opportunities for growth and deeper comprehension of English nuances. She saw errors as data points. Elara's transformation was a vivid illustration that true fluency comes not from avoiding errors, but from bravely making them and learning along the way. Her story became a beacon, illuminating the path for countless others aspiring to master the art of English communication.